For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council has maintained peace, a perfect, stable order. When a young, expansive species called humanity joined the galactic stage, the Council offered them what they offered all others: guidance, oversight, a place within the system. They expected gratitude. They expected compliance. They never expected a single word to shatter their entire civilization. What happens when the species you try to guide has studied your history and found your secrets? What happens when the truth becomes a weapon? This is the story of the day chaos erupted in the Galactic Council, when humans refused to negotiate. Before we declassify these historical records, subscribe to this channel and authorize the data transfer. You will want to be a witness to this revolution. Alright, let's access the Nexus Prime archives. The session is now called to order. Ambassador Anya Sharma's ship docked at Nexus Prime. The station was enormous, a ring-shaped structure that could house millions of beings, the neutral heart of the Galactic Council for millennia. Anya walked through the station's corridors, a simple human form moving through a bizarre and wonderful river of life. Tall, insect-like beings from the hive worlds clicked past. Floating energy beings from the ethereal realms drifted by like living light. She was here on a summons. High Arbitrator Kthar had requested her immediate presence to discuss human expansion protocols. Anya had been expecting this call for months. Humanity had been spreading across the stars as if it was their natural right. New colonies sprouted on worlds that had been empty for eons. Miners extracted resources from asteroids no other species had bothered to claim. The other species did not like this. They were used to a galaxy where expansion happened slowly, if at all. The council chamber was vast. Representatives from 47 different species were already present. High Arbitrator Kthar, an ancient insectoid whose species had helped found the council, stood at the center. His large, compound eyes tracked Anya's movement as she made her way to the designated human seating area. Ambassador Sharma, Kthar said, his voice carrying easily through the translation systems. Thank you for answering our call so promptly. High Arbitrator, Anya nodded politely. I am here to listen to the council's concerns. A murmur ran through the assembly. Her tone was respectful, but not reverential. Most species approached the council with a mixture of awe and fear. Humans, it seemed, were different. Kthar's mandibles clicked together. Irritation. The concerns are significant, Ambassador. Multiple species have brought formal complaints. The Zaffiran representative, a being of living mist, rose. The humans show no respect for sacred spaces. They build their colonies within sight of our ancestral burial worlds. They disturb the spiritual harmony of the region. The worlds in question were uninhabited and unclaimed, Anya stated, her expression neutral. Before the Zaffiran could reply, a Voran collective representative, a being of walking crystal, spoke up, its voice a series of complex harmonic patterns. The spiritual concerns are secondary. Human mining operations generate subspace disturbances that interfere with our communication networks. These networks have functioned for millennia, until your activity began. Have the collective's engineers contacted our mining companies to discuss technical solutions? Anya asked. The crystal being's harmonics turned discordant. The solution is for humans to cease operations. More complaints followed. The reptilian Sorok Empire complained about human ships in their traditional hunting grounds. The gaseous beings of the nebula states claimed human terraforming was affecting weather patterns on nearby worlds. Anya listened to each complaint with the same calm attention. Finally, High Arbitrator Kthar called for order. Ambassador Sharma, the Council has reviewed these complaints and finds them to have merit. Your expansion has proceeded without proper consultation. Your colonies have been established without regard for existing agreements or cultural sensitivities. What territorial agreements? Anya asked. The worlds we have colonized were not claimed by any species on any map. Claimed territory and respected territory are different concepts, Kthar explained. For thousands of years, the Council has maintained peace by ensuring all expansion follows established protocols. New species are guided by elder civilizations to ensure growth occurs in harmony with the existing order. He paused, letting his words sink in. Therefore, he continued, the Council has prepared a guidance protocol for humanity. This protocol will place all human expansion under the oversight of a committee of elder species. All future colonization must be approved by this committee. All existing colonies in disputed areas must be relocated or abandoned. This guidance period will last for 3 centuries. Anya closed her datapad. She looked around the chamber. Every alien face was turned toward her. They expected submission. They expected gratitude. They were about to be very, very surprised. Anya stood up slowly. The chamber fell silent. "No," she said simply. The word hung in the air like a physical object. The chamber erupted into chaos. High Arbitrator Kthar's compound eyes widened in shock. His mandibles clicked rapidly. I beg your pardon, Ambassador?" "No," Anya repeated, her voice carrying clearly. "Humanity respectfully declines the Council's guidance protocol." The Zaffiran representative's misty form flickered wildly. "This is unprecedented. No species has ever refused Council guidance." Anya nodded politely. "Then I suppose we are making history today." The chaos intensified. "This insolence cannot be tolerated," roared the Sorok representative, a large reptilian covered in battle scars. "The Council's authority has maintained peace for 10,000 years, and humanity appreciates that peace," Anya replied calmly. "However, we did not ask to be governed by the Council. We joined the galactic community as an independent species, and we intend to remain independent." "Independence is an illusion," chittered a small, furry representative from the Trade Federation. "All species require guidance." Anya pulled out her datapad and made a show of checking something. Her casual attitude was clearly infuriating them. "Humanity has been navigating quite successfully so far," she said without looking up. "Our colonies are prosperous. Our people are happy. The complaints we have heard today are about inconvenience and tradition, not genuine harm." The Voran representative's crystalline form began to resonate at a frequency that made the walls vibrate. "Inconvenience? Your mining operations have disrupted communication networks that have functioned for millennia. Have they?" Anya asked, finally looking up. "I have reviewed the technical specifications of Voran communication systems. Your networks operate on subspace frequencies well below the range affected by our standard mining equipment. Either your systems are far more primitive than you claim, or these disruptions have another cause." The crystal being's harmonics turned sharp. "Are you suggesting the collective is lying?" "I am suggesting," Anya replied, "that you should investigate whether your communication problems began before or after our mining operation started. You might be surprised." High Arbitrator Kthar struck the chamber's resonance pad with his ceremonial staff. A deep thrumming sound demanded attention. "Ambassador Sharma, you are treating this matter with inappropriate levity. The Council's guidance protocol is not a request. It is a directive." Anya smiled. The expression sent a chill through the assembly. "High Arbitrator, with all due respect, humanity is not a member of the Galactic Council. We are an associate member of the galactic community. We participate in trade agreements. We honor diplomatic protocols. But we never, not once, agreed to Council authority over our internal affairs." The chamber fell silent again. It was a legal distinction many had forgotten existed. A young representative from the Kepler Union spoke up. His people had been under Council guidance for 500 years. "But how do you maintain order without guidance? How do you prevent conflicts?" Anya turned to him. "How did your species maintain order before you encountered the Council?" The alien paused, clearly struggling. We had wars, conflicts. And you have none of these things now?" Anya asked. Another pause. "Well, no, but the Council helps us manage them." "Does it?" Anya pulled up a file on her datapad. According to galactic records, the Kepler Union has experienced 14 internal conflicts since joining the Council. Your industrial output has decreased by 30%. Your population growth has slowed to near zero. Your scientific advancement has stagnated. The Kepler representative's breathing apparatus fluttered nervously. "Those are normal adjustments to Council membership." Anya looked around the chamber. "And how long does this guidance period typically last, High Arbitrator?" Kthar's mandibles clicked irritably. "The length varies. Some require only a few centuries. Others benefit from longer periods of oversight." "I see," Anya said. "And how many species have successfully graduated from guidance status to full independence?" The silence that followed was deafening. It was the answer. Finally, an ancient, energy-based being from the ethereal consortium spoke, its voice like distant thunder. Graduate status is not the goal. Harmony is the goal. Stability is the goal. Whose harmony? Anya asked quietly. Whose stability? The question hung in the air like an accusation. Anya closed her datapad and looked directly at the High Arbitrator. Humanity appreciates the Council's concern. However, we decline the guidance protocol. We are willing to discuss reasonable accommodations. We can establish communication protocols with the Vorin. We can work with the Zafrans to respect their cultural boundaries. She paused. What we will not do is surrender our sovereignty to a body we did not elect and that does not represent our interests. Humanity will continue to expand, explore, and develop according to our own judgment. We welcome cooperation, but we will not accept domination. The chamber erupted. But this time, the chaos was different. Some voices were outraged, but others were thoughtful, curious. For the first time in 10,000 years, a species had said no to the Council and had lived to explain why. The Council session was suspended, but the real work had just begun. Emergency meetings started forming all over Nexus Prime. Species that had been enemies for centuries were suddenly finding common ground in their shared outrage. Anya remained in her quarters, monitoring the encrypted transmissions flowing across the galaxy. The first formal response came from the Sorok Empire. General Thrax, their primary military commander, requested a private meeting. He was an impressive specimen, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in scales that bore the scars of countless battles. Ambassador, Thrax rumbled, his voice vibrating through the walls. My empire wishes to speak plainly. Your species has made a grave error. The Council maintains order through strength. Your refusal threatens that. How so, General? Anya asked, pouring a cup of coffee. You have given other species ideas. The comment was revealing. Ideas about independence, about refusing guidance. There are already rumblings among the younger species. Some are questioning why they need Council permission to explore empty star systems. And the Sorok Empire finds this concerning? The Empire finds chaos concerning, Thrax replied. Order requires hierarchy. Hierarchy requires authority. If every species goes its own way, there will be wars. Suffering. General, Anya said, leaning back. With respect, there are already wars. The Council just keeps them small. Limited disputes between client species. Resource conflicts that never threaten the elder species' interests. Proxy wars fought by younger species on behalf of older ones. The General's expression shifted. She had touched a nerve. That is how the balance of power is maintained. That is how the status quo is maintained, Anya corrected. It ensures no species grows strong enough to challenge the current hierarchy. The conversation continued for an hour. Thrax alternated between threats and offers. Protection, trade deals, a seat on the junior advisory board. Anya politely declined everything. But as the days passed, something interesting began to happen. The unified front the Council presented started to crack. The Zafrans and Voraeans were in open disagreement over old border disputes. The Trade Federation accused the Sorok Empire of using military pressure for economic gain. And the younger species, they started asking questions. Anya was walking through a public area when a group of junior delegates approached her. A nervous being from the Kepler Union spoke up. Ambassador, is it true that humans make all your own decisions? Anya saw other young aliens listening intently. It is true. We govern ours. Lvies. We make our own mistakes and find our own solutions. But how do you know what is right? Asked another. We don't always, Anya admitted. We argue. We try different approaches. Sometimes we fail and have to start over. Aren't you afraid of making the wrong choices? The Kepler representative asked. Anya considered the question carefully. We are more afraid of never being allowed to make choices at all. She saw something awaken in their expressions. A hunger she had not expected. What would happen, one whispered, if other species made the same choice as humanity? Anya smiled. I suppose we would find out together. On the 5th day, Anya requested permission to address the full assembly one final time. High Arbitrator Kthar, desperate to restore order, granted it immediately. He hoped she had come to her senses. The chamber was packed beyond capacity. Anya entered carrying a small data storage device and a portable holographic projector. High Arbitrator, she said, I have requested this final session to clarify humanity's position and to share some information that we believe the Council should consider. If this is an attempt to negotiate, Kthar began. This is not about negotiation, Anya said, her smile returning. This is about truth. She activated the projector. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared. For 50 years, humanity has been studying galactic history. We wanted to understand how this galaxy came to be organized the way it is. She touched a control. The map changed, showing the galaxy as it was 1,000 years ago. As you can see, there were several significant civilizations that no longer exist today. She continued stepping backward through time. 2,000 years ago, 5,000, 10,000. Each step revealed more and more lost civilizations. This is fascinating history, Ambassador, Kthar said impatiently. But I fail to see its relevance. The relevance, High Arbitrator, is in what happened to all these missing civilizations. She changed the display, focusing on one species. The Drakmari Empire. 15,000 years ago, one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Their expansion rate was similar to humanity's. They were contacted by the Council 12,000 years ago, and they accepted guidance. The display showed the Drakmari timeline. Their rapid growth, suddenly slowing to a crawl. Within 500 years, their technological advancement had stopped completely, Anya continued. Within 1,000 years, they had become a client state. Within 2,000 years, they had ceased to exist as an independent civilization. The chamber was completely silent. The pattern repeats throughout your history, Anya said, advancing through more examples. The Kthar Confederation, the Crystal Mines of Andromeda Station, the Infinite Republic, all promising young civilizations that accepted council guidance, all extinct or absorbed within a few thousand years. She brought up a statistical analysis. It made several representatives gasp. Over the past 15,000 years, 137 species have been brought under council guidance. Of those, only 43 still exist as independent entities. The rest are gone. Those species face challenges. Kthar protested. Natural disasters. Internal conflict. Did they? Anya brought up another display. It showed a species that had survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and 3 separate evolutionary adaptations on their own. But within 1,500 years of accepting council guidance, they had lost their ability to adapt and died out when a solar flare disrupted their communication networks. Anya looked around the chamber. The council does not guide species to independence, she said quietly. It guides them to dependence. Young civilizations are convinced to accept limitations on their growth. They are told it is for their own good, for peace, for stability. She brought up one final display. But look at the result. Elder species control the most valuable territories. Client species provide labor and raw materials. The technological advancement rate for the entire galaxy has slowed to near zero. You have not maintained peace. You have maintained stagnation. You have created a galaxy where nothing changes, nothing grows, nothing evolves. You call it peace, but it is really just a slow death. She deactivated the projector. That is why we refuse your guidance. Not out of arrogance, but out of a desire to survive as a free and growing civilization. We have seen what happens to species that accept your help, and we choose a different path. The chamber exploded. But this time, the chaos was different. Elder species shouted accusations. But in the observer sections, representatives from younger species were watching with expressions of dawning realization. High Arbitrator Kthar tried to restore order. When the noise finally died down, his voice held a tone Anya had not heard before. Uncertainty. Ambassador, these are serious accusations. There is no impropriety, High Arbitrator, Anya said. The system works exactly as designed. Young species are guided into sustainable, stable roles. The fact that this guidance inevitably leads to stagnation and extinction is not a bug in the system. It is a feature. She headed for the exit, then turned back. Humanity chooses a different future. We choose the uncertainty of freedom over the certainty of decline. We choose the risk of failure over the guarantee of irrelevance. As Anya left the chamber, the chaos behind her reached new levels. For the first time in 10,000 years, the fundamental assumptions of galactic civilization were being questioned openly. The revolution had begun. It started with a simple question from the Kepler Union. Show us the original agreement where our ancestors requested guidance. Similar demands erupted from dozens of other species. The Council's authority began to crumble. On worlds throughout the galaxy, populations began to ask questions about their own circumstances. The harmony seekers experienced internal schisms. The Trade Federation faced strikes. The Council system, which had seemed eternal, was fracturing under the weight of a single, undeniable truth. In a final, chaotic session, Ambassador Eric of the Kepler Union stood. The Kepler Union formally withdraws from Council guidance. We claim the right to govern ourselves as a free and independent species. The dam broke. Other voices joined in. The harmony seekers split. Trade members broke away. The old order collapsed right there in the chamber. General Thrax of the Sorok Empire rose and glared at Anya. Humanity will be held responsible for this chaos. Anya met his gaze without flinching. General, if the Sorok Empire chooses to respond to galactic change with violence, you will find that humanity is not defenseless. We have spent 50 years preparing for the possibility that our independence might be challenged. The implied threat hung in the air. As Anya prepared to leave Nexus Prime, she received a final visitor. The young, nervous representative from the Kepler Union. Ambassador, the young being said, my people are grateful, but we are also afraid. We have never governed ourselves completely. What if we fail? Anya put a gentle hand on the alien's shoulder. Then you will fail as free beings making your own choices, she said. And that is infinitely better than succeeding as slaves following someone else's plan. 3 months later, Anya stood on the observation deck of a human exploration vessel. Behind them, a small fleet of ships from a dozen different species followed in formation. The Kepler Union had sent scientific vessels. The breakaway harmony seekers had contributed philosophical advisors. Even some former Sorok military units had joined, seeking adventure. The galaxy had not become peaceful. If anything, it was more chaotic. But it was also more alive, more vibrant, and more full of potential than it had been in 10,000 years. The age of stagnation was over. The age of freedom had just begun.